Hey friends, how are you? Happy Magic Monday. This is video 3 of the Everyday Ritual series. Tonight we're talking all about daily divination. Using divination purposefully, intentionally, daily, and how to incorporate that into your everyday rituals. Hey everyone. If you're joining me live, say hey to me in that conversation box down below. Let me know that you are here. If you're catching this recycled that second time around, drop me a little recycled symbol. Let me know that you're catching the video then. And if you have some friends who you think would enjoy this, either bring them into the community if they're not already in, or if they're already here, mention them in that conversation box down below so that they can enjoy this video also. So how are you? I want to know. Say hey to me. Let me know what's up. Let me know how your day is going. It's really good. It's not as good. Let me know all the things. So tomorrow starts the dark moon. Are you feeling the dark moon? Let me know that too. And that means that Thursday is the new moon. There's still an opportunity to get into that new moon ritual over in the collective. $28 gets you in there, gets you all the teachings, and gets you moon rituals. So now that I've given you a couple of announcements, hello, Soul Sister Whitney. Do like Whitney did. Say hey, let your friends know we're having this conversation, and let's talk about some everyday rituals. I'm going to introduce myself before I forget because there are new people always coming into this group. And while I'm introducing myself, I am going to tell some of our friends that we're having this conversation. Feel free to do the same while you listen. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela Kay. I'm a coach, intuitive, medium, and healer here in Cleveland, Ohio. I love going live. I love talking to people, helping them learn to remember, connect in, and apply ancient sacred traditions, wisdom, etc., and apply it to their modern everyday life. Hello, Shafina. How are you? So that's a little bit about me. I do that through groups like this and like the paid group, Sacred Collective. I do that through one-on-one sessions, healing sessions, coaching sessions, mediumship sessions where I provide closure and help people connect to people who are on the other side, who transitioned out of their bodies. So that's a little bit about me. Kyla says, ain't that Mr. on the radio? I don't know that reference. In fact, I couldn't even read it. Sorry. Hello, Miss Kyla. Hello, Edna. Hello, Laura. I love seeing all of you pop on here. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about divination. Divination as a part of our everyday ritual. So if you didn't catch if this is your first time watching this series, this is 3. There are 2 more that you can find in the units of this group. And we're doing this series to talk about how to layer in habits, how to choose new habits, how to grocery shop new habits, how to layer them in and build ourselves everyday rituals. This can be morning rituals, this can be evening rituals, and I'm going to talk to you today about why you might want to use divination in the morning, why you might want to use divination in the evening, and how I use divination all day long. So, hello, Miss Claire. How are you? How was school today, Claire? Let us know in that conversation box. Who else is a teacher? Anybody? Let me know that also. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is Oracle and Tarot cards. I talk about them grouped together, but they're 2 different things. This reminds me, if you're like, Angela, divination, like I don't know that much about divination, and like some of these things that you're talking about tonight, like I don't really understand what they are, you're going to want to set an alarm, come back here Wednesday morning, because Wednesday morning there is a recycled video I'm dropping. So on Wednesdays in the month of September and October, I'm recycling videos from the Witching Hour, which was another series that we did. And Wednesdays is all about divination. So Wednesday's series, you will learn all about all kinds of divination and we'll dive deeper into them. So tonight is just kind of a touch. I'm not going to deep dive, and I'm definitely not going to go over all of the types tonight because I already did that once and that video will be on Wednesday. Kyla says, I'm a teacher. Yes, you are, Kyla. You certainly are. Claire says, oh, school. Classes were painful today, but technology worked. Well, that's a plus. Good job being positive and finding something to be positive about, Claire. Sorry that classes were tough. Kyla says, my comments are so delayed. Sorry. Yeah, Facebook. All right, divination. We're going to start with Oracle and Tarot cards. So tarot cards I'm grabbing mine. Are the traditional, hello Pam, how are you? Are the traditional sort of cards, right? So a lot of times they look like this. This is one of the more traditional decks, but you can get all sorts of decks. This is the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Smith is the female artist who did the artwork for these, which is why I'm using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I think that that's really important to use the deck since she's the one who created all the artwork for the cards anyways. So you can use tarot, you can use oracle. There are like bajillions of different oracle decks, right? Like this is just 3 that I have sitting here. And for the purposes of your everyday ritual, I don't think that it matters whether you use tarot or oracle. Tarot has the reputation in the spiritual community to be a little more like blunt, cut to the chase, and oracle has the reputation in the spiritual community of being a little softer. So if one of those resonates to you, you can choose your deck that way. Or if you have something that really resonates with you, like you're really into fairies, or you're really into dragons, or you're really into animals, or like whatever that thing is, you can probably find an oracle deck that like ties into your hobby and your passion. So a couple of reasons that you might use one or the other, but really it frankly doesn't matter. I prefer oracle cards. I use tarot, but I prefer oracle cards, but that's because for myself, I channel using them, right? So you can read oracle cards, you can use them, they usually come with a little book that you can study and like understand how the person, the author, artist, etc., who designed those cards intended them to be interpreted, or you can do like I do, and you can use them as a channeling tool. Okay, so in the morning, something that I do is I do like a reading for myself, right? So in Reiki school, Jen Kohler taught us to do a 2-card reading, right? You can kind of ask what like the theme of the day is and what you're supposed to know about it, or what's the energy of the day and what you're supposed to know about it. But before that, I was doing oracle card readings and I did 4 spreads, like I did 4-card spreads in the morning. So those of you who are in Sacred Collective, that paid community I talked about, by the way, there's 9 spots left before the price goes up. Those of you who are in there know that there's accountability to the series that's going on, and tomorrow I will share in that community where the accountability is happening, I'll share some of the spreads that I do with all of you. So it'll give you some ideas on what you can do. All right, so like I said, you can ask what's the energy of the day? What do I need to know about it? What's the theme of the day? What do I need to know about it? You can ask like, where's my soul at right now? What do I need to know about it? What's going to present itself midday? What do I want to know about it? Only 9 spots left. Exactly, Claire. Before the price goes up. I'll keep taking people in, but that introductory founding price is going to go up. So you can ask lots of questions. You can ask yourself with your oracle or tarot cards things like, it's the new moon. What goal do I need to set? What is a barrier that gets in the way? How do I get past that barrier? And what is the result if I choose to take this action, right? So you can ask all kinds of things, and you can absolutely make this up yourself. You can ask the question. You can decide every day when I get up, this is what I want to know. This is what I would like assistance with. So the reason that we use divination, whatever tool it is, we're taking a snapshot. Like we're kind of taking a snapshot of the day or of a certain time period, right? But the important thing with divination to know is that you have free will. We do as humans, which means that that's a snapshot based on everything as it currently is. And as soon as that divination is done and you start to take action, you can start to change that and co-create your reality. So if the divination shows up, like something lays out and you're like, I don't like what that says, so change it. You can. It's simply information for you. Hello, Jen. How are you? All right, so you can do oracle or tarot cards. You can do them in the morning like I just talked about. You can also do them in the evening, right? So reflecting on your day. What is something that maybe came up that you would like a little more information about? What is something that presented itself and you're like, I'm not necessarily sure that I loved the way that I responded to that. And so what else is here? Maybe you got offered something. Maybe there's an opportunity that presented itself during the day and you would like more information about that opportunity. These are all reasons that I do divination in the evening part of my rituals, right? So when I talk about everyday rituals, we talk about morning and evening, and we can do them in the middle of the day too. And your morning is your morning. You don't have to be up at 6 a.m. to do a morning ritual. And evening is your evening. You can do it at 3 a.m. if you're like Pam and you're a night owl. It's up to you. Okay, so in addition to tarot, another form of divination that I use in my everyday rituals are runes. So some of you have seen this before because I've shown my runes before. This is the bag that my mom made me. Boy, they're close to 20 years old at this point. Yeah. This is the bag my mom made me. She hand embroidered it. And then runes are a form of divination. Each rune has a different symbol on it, and each symbol represents something different. Okay? So just like we learn to interpret tarot cards or we learn to interpret oracle cards, runes are the same way. You start to understand and memorize and write the different symbols. And once you do that, when they come out of the bag, you've asked a question, similarly to how you would ask a question with your oracle cards, right? They come out of the bag and you've divined your answer, right? The same ones keep coming up. I'm making the face because I'm like, I hear you. All right, so runes. You can do this. You can do it like you do tarot cards. You can choose like 2 runes with like the questions that you want answered. You can like grab a hand and dump a couple out and see what lays out in front of you and interpret them that way. You can do divination in lots of different ways. Your style is the one that matters. What I always teach, whether it's tarot or oracle or runes or scrying, all the things, what I always teach is your interpretation is key. Your interpretation is key, and trust your interpretation. Trust it, because it's a relationship between you and the divine and a tool that you're using to communicate. So divine knows you. Divine knows how you do it. So it doesn't matter if you shuffle like this or if you shuffle like this or if you shake your bag or you don't shake your bag or you use 2 or use 4. Like, create a relationship. Create something that divine understands and knows how you're going to do it. I'm getting goosebumps right now. And then trust the answer that comes forward. All right, so another divination tool, I've got my little box. Another divination tool is the pendulum, right? So do you have a pendulum? First, tell me that. Let me know if you have a pendulum. I have a pendulum problem, meaning that I collect pendulums. I have a lot, right? So pendulums can be metal. They can be a combination of metal and crystal. And they can be entirely crystal. This happens to be a Lemurian pendulum. So, a little side note. The story about Lemurian crystals is that they have little ridges. You can kind of see those ridges. So the ridges are supposedly language, an ancient language that was carved on the crystals by the Lemurian people, right? And so if you meditate and you rub the crystal, you can gain that knowledge. It's not like boom, it's just there, but that's like why people are so obsessed. If you've heard people be obsessed with Lemurian crystals, myself included. Okay, so pendulums. You can use pendulums in your morning rituals, right? Like you can ask questions, right? Like yes, no questions. You can also use like a mat, which is kind of like a spirit board. I didn't grab mine, but it has like yes, no, maybe, and a couple of other options. You could even just write it on a piece of paper and use that, right? And use your pendulum to decipher where it's going, right? To answer questions about your day, what you need to know headed into your day. You can use them at night in the same way. You can also use them throughout your day. So you can carry one in your pocket, you can carry one in your purse, you can keep it at home, you can keep one in your desk, and you can use it to make decisions, right? So you hold your pendulum at the top. I recommend having your arm on something steady because your brain can move this pendulum, even if you don't think you are, it's possible. So by steadying our arm, our pendulum's very sturdy, straight, right? And our arm is less likely to like shake and move around, and that in turn moves the pendulum. Always ask, whether you're doing tarot, oracle, your runes, your pendulum, or another form of divination that you hear about on that video on Wednesday, always ask who you're speaking to. Always confirm who you're speaking to. Always know who you want to be speaking to. Who is it that you're trying to channel, who you're trying to communicate with, Who is it that you want to receive answers from? Make sure that you build a relationship with your pendulum, because it can channel entities, it can channel all sorts of energies. You want to make sure that you know who you're talking to. Pam, yes, I can demonstrate for sure. So let me get something under my arm. So I would put something under my arm. I'm going to hold my arm up for the purpose of demonstration, but know that your arm should be down, right? Because I need you to be able to see. So you want your pendulum still in the beginning, which might be challenging because I don't have my arm down. And then I always start by asking who, like, am I speaking to my guides of my highest good? Am I speaking to benevolent spirits? Like, who am I speaking to, right? So am I speaking to my highest self? So right now I'm about to ask myself a question. Am I speaking to my highest self? And I don't know if you can see that, but like it's swinging back and forth, like it's giving me a yes. So then I always ask a question that, and Jen taught me this, right? That I don't know, that I know that the answer isn't true. So like, am I 108 years old? Or is my name Francis McGee, right? I mean, something ridiculous, right? I found that I can't do like a true question. Like I can't say like, is my name Angela Simon, because I didn't include my middle name and my last name's changed when I got married and then divorced. And like my pendulum's like, I don't know what to say right now, right? So ask questions of truth, know who you're communicating with, and ask a question that you know is not true. So that way you can see how your pendulum behaves differently, right? With yes and no's. This pendulum gives me a different yes and no than, for instance, this pendulum does, right? So pendulums very much have their own energy, and you need to know your pendulum. Then from there, you can ask questions. I know people who, before they eat anything, they ask their pendulum. Higher self, is this what my body needs right now? Higher self, is this good for me right now, right? People have discovered intolerances to different kinds of food simply by asking their pendulum and pausing, right? So you can ask lots of questions. You can ask questions about opportunities that come up through the day. You can ask questions about what you're going to eat. You can ask questions about like, is it bedtime? Like you can ask lots of questions. So pendulums, oracle cards, tarot cards, runes. There's lots of ways to incorporate divination into your everyday life. Some people, and I talk about tea reading in that live that I mentioned that I'll post on Wednesday, some people have a cup of tea every morning. If you're someone who drinks tea already in the morning, you could be tea leaf reading, right? Every morning as part of your ritual. So it's about intention, it's about layering it in, and it's about if it feels good to you. Some people are like, Angela, I don't want to do divination. And I'm like, cool, divination's not for you. And that's okay. And some people are like, Angela, I want to do divination 4 times a day. And I'm like, sweet. If you have the time and that feels good to you, do divination 4 times a day. Just make sure you know who the heck you're talking to. So, did you find this helpful? I saw that I had some questions up here. Whitney says, can pendulums lie? Like if I ask, is this blank, can it misrepresent itself? And Whitney, this is an excellent question. I don't know if I would use the word lie, but I guess it could be interpreted that way. But depending on who you're talking to, yes. And this is why it's so important that you know who you're talking to. Are you communicating with your ego? Are you communicating with your higher self? Are you communicating with your dead, I don't know, grandpa who was a jokester? Are you communicating with an entity? Entities will come in. Entities are real. Entities will hang out in your space. Entities can move your pendulum. Entities will, for mischief and other reasons, like kind of mess around. So it's super important, right, to know who we're communicating with. Whitney, let me know if that answers the question. Pam, let me know if that the demonstration helped you understand how to use it. Claire says, I use a necklace as a pendulum. Absolutely. You can use a paper clip at the end of a string if you want to, right? When you have a crystal at the end of your pendulum, the energy of that crystal, right, is also something that you're channeling and using. When you have a metal at the end of your pendulum, that's also something you're using. And if you're going to use a paper clip on a string, you should still build a relationship with it. You should still ask who you're communicating with, right? You're not just going to like pick up any string and any paper clip and like call it a pendulum. Kyla says, I have a pendulum too. I love that. Shafina, let me know if I'm saying your name correctly. So each person can interpret the same card differently. Absolutely. Especially with oracle cards, or if you're using them to channel like I do. And I always talk about this when I do readings, because some people are like, well, that's not what the book says, because they have the same deck I have. And I'm like, and I didn't read the book. I channeled the message. So yes, absolutely. Tarot cards have traditional meanings attached to them, which is why I don't like to use them to channel. I like to use them for divination with tarot, but I don't like to use them to channel because it kind of like, it doesn't work the same for me. But you do you. You absolutely should do you. Whitney says, I've never heard of runes. I'm glad that you got to learn about them tonight, Whitney. That feels really good. Pam says, how does the pendulum swing for maybe? Pam, okay. 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wasn't even 10 seconds. Pam, see this? It's probably backwards for you, but there's like a maybe here. There's a rephrase here. There's a maybe here, a rephrase, no's, and then there's yeses. So if you're using a mat, like you would start at the middle and you would notice that the pendulum swings more in one direction or swings between the two. So for maybe, your pendulum would swing here. But if it was no, your pendulum would swing here. Yes, so you get the idea. So let me know if that helped Pam answer that question for you. Shafina, I'm glad that it worked. Awesome. Melissa, if I ask a question about my daughter-in-law, it always plays the maybe. Do you have permission to ask a question about your daughter-in-law? This is a good thing to talk about. As far as divination is concerned, like, you want to have permission from their higher self, from their guides, etc. Otherwise, the information might not be welcome to you, which might be why you're getting that kind of funky response. Melissa? Where is the best place to get and learn runes? Laura, you can buy them at metaphysical stores. Find a metaphysical store that you trust. I've talked about this before. Make sure you like the energy of the store if you're going to buy anything from it. Energy is very telling, right? And if you do, you can purchase runes from there. You would cleanse them the same way that you would a crystal or anything else coming into your home. And the best place to learn them, there are a number of books. Laura, remind me, and I'll send you a link to a couple of them that I like. Oh, good, Shafina. I'm glad I said your name correctly. Maybe is a circle for, I don't know what you're saying, Melissa. Is a circle for, oh, maybe the circle's for maybe. So I suppose that's correct. Some people have a relationship with their pendulum where if it goes left to right, it's one answer. If it goes front to back, it's another answer. Some people, if it goes left to right, it's one answer. If it goes around a circle, it's another answer. So in Melissa's case, she's correct. It could be, Melissa says yes. So for Melissa, a circle is a maybe, right? And yes and no looks differently. So again, it's your relationship with your divination tool of choice, pendulums included. Okay, did you find this helpful? Let me know in that conversation box down below. Remember, if you want in on Thursday's new moon ritual, you want to get into the Sacred Collective, it's $28 a month. You get group coaching, a moon ritual, a moon teaching, meditation, divination forecast. You get lots of things in there. And you get the accountability to this program that you're watching right now. The accountability aspect is over in Sacred Collective. So, are you going to add this to your everyday rituals? What are you doing so far for your everyday rituals? Are you remembering to enchant your beverage in the morning? Let me know. Are you setting your intentions? With that, I'm popping off of here. Hugs and kisses, everyone. Have the best day ever. I'll talk to you soon. Stay wild, moon child.